From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
A celebration of soybeans in one state.
This year alone, Illinois grew over 11 million acres of soybeans.
As we check out the innovations that could be on the farm as soon as next year.
So we've really seen the trend of digitally augmenting that relationship.
As USDA takes further steps to keep the nation's milk supply safe from avian flu, how it could impact every dairy producer right now on AgDay.
AgDay is brought to you by Pioneer. Great performance in the field makes Pioneer brand corn #1 in America. For a winning season, it's Pioneer brand corn. Your best year starts here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. We begin with a developing story. USDA announcing on Friday a new federal order requiring the testing of all raw, unpasteurized milk samples nationwide. It says the testing is part of an ongoing effort to protect farms, farm workers, and communities from H5N1. Now the plan has 3 new requirements: the sharing of raw milk samples from a dairy farm, bulk milk transporter, bulk milk transfer station, or dairy processing facility. The order requires herd owners with positive cattle to provide information for contact tracing and surveillance, and it requires private labs and state vets to report positive results to USDA. Now, under the plan, USDA will immediately begin nationwide testing of milk silos at dairy processing facilities. They will also start up a bulk tank sampling program in order to identify herds in a state affected with H5N1. Now, for states with detections, APHIS will implement rapid response measures. As of Friday, the H5N1 virus was reported in 15 states and 718 dairy herds. USDA is continuing to say pasteurized milk is safe to drink. Testing will start in 6 states on December 16th before rolling out to the rest of the nation. One farm state senator is painting a dire situation for farmers, and while time is running out, he says passing the Farm Act right now is a priority to help farmers financially. Republican Senator John Bozeman of Arkansas talking with Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan, emphasizing the urgency to pass the Farm Assistance and Revenue Mitigation Act to address the financial challenges facing farmers. Bozeman pointing out many farm families are ending this year in the red, with lower commodity prices, rising input costs, and the lack of a farm bill creating tight margins. So what payments could farmers receive through the Farm Act on a per acre basis? One economist crunching the numbers. You see some of them on your screen. We have more over at agweb.com, but it's important to note these payment estimates could change when the updated supply and demand report is issued this week. Plus, the bill still needs to be passed.
At this point, do you think the Farm Act will get passed? And if so, how will it be passed? I mean, will it be attached to the continuing resolution, or what's the point?
Well, we're working literally as we speak to get the language together, to get agreement from both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, to move forward. So I can't tell you, for sure that it's going to get passed. I know if you've read anything that I've said for the last year and a half, you know where I'm at on this, and I understand how important it is. As far as where it would be attached, it would probably be attached to the continuing resolution.
As efforts to pass the Farm Act continue, Bozeman acknowledged the challenges of securing bipartisan support, noting cost as a major hurdle. Now, Congress is in session through Friday, December 20th. President-elect Trump continuing to flesh out his trade team regarding China. Mr. Trump naming former Senator David Perdue of Georgia to be his ambassador to China. The president-elect saying that as a former CEO, Perdue will bring valuable expertise to the U.S. relationship with China. Perdue is the former CEO of Dollar General and Reebok.
AgDay's coverage of the Agricultural Retailers Association Conference and Expo is brought to you by Verdesian. At Verdesian Life Sciences, we're unlocking the full potential of every nutrient for smarter, more efficient farming. Maximize your profitability with Verdesian. Learn more at vlsci.com.
More than 600 people gathered in Houston for the Agricultural Retailer Association's Conference and Expo. Now, the conversations not only included the challenges facing the ag industry, but also a look at the innovations expected in 2025. Innovation is everywhere in agriculture, and ag retail is often the first step in sorting out what makes it from the shelf to the farm gate.
When we do have an innovation that is inserted into our industry, we need to evaluate that and how to place it successfully on the grower's field.
We once had this grand idea that we were going to be the place where people would come and learn about new technology toys. And we've quickly discovered that the members have been there, done that, and they're 3 steps further down the line than we ever got to.
Rapid innovation, often driven by necessity.
Anytime new technology comes to the market, it's usually very expensive.
Houchin serves growers in California, and automation is helping solve those labor issues.
With our labor minimum wage on its way to $18 an hour, and them in California taking away some of the overtime regulations or exemptions, I think you're going to continue to see this move towards automation. It may not be as perfect as hands in the field, but it's going to be good enough, and the cost savings is going to be significant that you're going to see less people on the farm.
When it comes to crop health, there's a lot of excitement around biostimulants.
We've done such a good job of protecting against biotic stresses, the insects, weeds, disease, those sorts of things, but there hasn't been as much focus, or there hasn't been as much emphasis over the last, couple decades. We're starting to see it now on abiotic stresses, the heat, drought, cold, salt, those sorts of things. And so there's a ton of opportunity to be able to better manage those stresses and be able to really start to talk to farmers about biostimulants in a more thoughtful, meaningful way.
From hands-off automation to new digital realities.
So today we have more than 1/3 of farmers who have downloaded an app provided by their ag retailer. So we've really seen the trend of digitally augmenting that relationship between the trusted advisor and their farmer customers.
And artificial intelligence is a budding opportunity.
It's about how do I get that sales agronomist to be able to use a tool that informs them and helps take care of some of the more tedious tasks so that they can really focus on what they do best, which is providing the service and the advice to the grower and serving as that trusted advisor.
It's just amazing how fast the technology is moving. If you're not in the business, you'd be surprised.
After a week of snow is more on the way this week. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht has a look ahead.
Yeah, Clint, we almost have to discuss types of precipitation coming up for our Monday night, Tuesday, a little bit into Wednesday. We'll actually start things off, especially in the Midwest, warmer than average. So we're not going to add to the snow depth. Rather, we're going to decrease it with that warm rain or above freezing temperatures. We're going to eat away a lot of that snowpack back through parts of Michigan, Indiana, also into the Northeast. Now we're going to get back into some colder temperatures by Wednesday and Thursday as we're going to be following another trough that's going to be moving through. Otherwise, a lot of ridging for Monday and Tuesday before that transition comes through. Still expecting in the higher elevations, obviously, more snow to come down already, pushing up there quite a bit. So again, there's a look at the current snow depth. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll go ahead and track out the precipitation in general, and then also kind of give you a better idea of what to expect, whether it is going to be rain or snow in and across the nation. And harvest still wrapping up for some folks to the north. Reporting in Canada, and they have wrapped up harvest in Ontario. Hope you had a successful season. I'll have more on your forecast coming up.
AgDay's coverage of the ISA Impact Awards is brought to you by the Illinois Soybean Association. For 60 years, the Illinois Soybean Association has looked beyond the rows to help Illinois farmers grow more opportunities from every acre. Watch our story at illsoy.org/60 seasons.
Illinois agriculture is marking a milestone. 60 years ago was the start of the Illinois Soybean Association and the Illinois Soybean Checkoff. As Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan reports, the organization has seen a lot of changes over the years.
Elliot Uphoff is living his dream.
I would be the 5th generation, and we're coming up on our 100th year on our home farm.
Raising the 6th generation now on this family farm, he's been back farming full-time for just over a decade.
Harvest was a breeze this year, honestly. We started and then we never stopped, and we did it in 4 weeks, which has never happened.
Illinois Soybean Association celebrated 60 years of success with their annual Impact Awards this week.
60 years ago, the United States grew 30.8 million acres of soybeans.
with a total production of 739 million bushels with an average yield of 24 bushels per acre. This year alone, Illinois grew over 11 million acres of soybeans, and we produced 700 million bushels ourselves in this state.
Illinois is a powerhouse when it comes to soybeans. The state ranks first in soybean yield, soybean production, and soybean exports. And as a member of the Illinois Soybean Association board, Uphoff says they aim to grow that even more.
We are very fortunate in this state that we have many things that make us inherently profitable. We have great infrastructure. We have 2 rivers that we can deliver to.
As farmers continue to break barriers on yields, the top priority is to be able to transport that crop to where it needs to go.
We need to make sure that, is the Mississippi going to be viable in 10, 15 years? How do we secure that? Do we need new rail, transports? What is the future? How do we get it more out to the East Coast? Because of our location, we need to make sure that we can get the crop out of the field to market.
It's change makers of the past, present, and future that will now forge a new path, and one these Illinois farmers are excited about.
All right, thanks, Tyne. Still ahead, market saw some positives to end last week. Up next, what to be watching this week. And later, cyborg insects. They're not something in science fiction anymore. Why researchers say they could one day save lives in the country.
AgDay is brought to you by Pivot Bio. Protect yield potential with a new mode of action in nitrogen. See how Pivot Bio fits into your fertility plan at talknitrogen.com.
Corn and soybeans steady to even higher on Friday. Brian Doherty with Total Farm Marketing is back with us. Okay, Brian, let's talk about corn and soybeans because higher weekly closes in both. And how encouraging is that? How much farther can we extend those gains, do you think?
Well, I got to tell you, it's really encouraging. Now, your second question is even better. How much can we expect out of this? And at the moment, I would probably say not a lot. And my rationale is somewhat simple as we turn our attention now to mid-December when the weather really counts in South America. I don't have anything bubbling in that part of the world that I'd point to and say, boy, you better be buying. What I think we saw is a combination of a number of things. First of all, farmer selling has been generally light, especially in pullbacks. Traders have been buying the dips. They've been selling the rallies. Farmers will likely sell the rallies. But the positive backdrop to that is we had just a stellar week of export sales, 68 million in corn, 85 million in soybeans. That puts corn sales year to date 32.8% above a year ago at this time. That's impressive. That's good. We're moving right along in the sales part. And then on Tuesday, the USDA report is expected to show a small decline in carryout in U.S. corn, probably little change in beans, but nonetheless, the market has been a buyer. Farmers have been generally complacent, not real aggressive in selling. They've just finished harvest, kind of buried their head for a bit. We think they'll start selling more aggressively here toward the end of the year.
So do you think we will see an adjustment in terms of higher exports on both corn and soybeans in the WASDE tomorrow?
Well, if you looked at just the numbers year to date, you would expect that. I'm not so sure on beans. I think they might be tepid there because of what they see coming out of South America, but certainly could be. But I think you'll see it in corn. This pace is running pretty strong, and we continue to see it move fairly aggressively out, which means chances of big cancellations maybe not likely.
Thanks so much, Brian Doherty with Total Farm Marketing. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
So as I mentioned a little bit ago, it's the precipitation forecast as we're going to be bouncing between types of precipitation the course of this week. So we'll start off with mainly rain back down here through Tennessee and to the south. This is going to work up to the northeast. The rain chances or precipitation forecast as we get deeper into our Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, it's going to flip over to some snow. But a good amount of rainfall coming through parts of the United States. With this next system, a pocket of cold air will follow the rain chances, and obviously where the pocket of cold air overlays with the rain chances, that's where we'll transition more to snow. Overall, the December temperature outlook is warmer than average back down here to Texas, southeast, and then working back over here towards the east. What you don't see on here is a high chance of below normal temperatures for the month of December, back out here towards the left, which means that kind of what we're seeing this week is that you get these pockets of cold air that bring in 2, maybe 3 days of below average temperatures before things start to warm back up. And when you start to do the numbers on it, that puts you kind of in that normal territory. It'd be a lot different if we were expecting a week of cold air in specific locations. That would get you back over here towards the blue. I'm just not seeing that, not only in the pattern, but obviously not seeing it on the map either. Above average conditions, high confidence in above average conditions through the 4 corners. Again, that's the December temperature outlook. If we look at the precipitation outlook as well, that kind of similar, in that we're not expecting major systems to bring a lot of rainfall or moisture to a large part of the United States for an extended period of time. These are short bursts of rain, of snow, and then where we have higher confidence is going to be where it's going to be drier, and that's kind of a case to these systems not being able to dive too far down to the south, but stay rather shallow. Clipper systems is a common way to look at it. The southeast staying dry through the month of December. That includes parts of Georgia and also into Florida. Wetter than normal conditions back up to the northeast, northwest, I should say, as we get deeper into December and possibly even into January. So the jet stream looks something like this coming up on Tuesday. The pocket of colder air will continue to move through Tuesday and into Wednesday. Manhattan, Kansas, mostly cloudy, high around 62 degrees, low of 38. Manhattan, New York, evening rain, high of 48, low of 44. Can you guess the next one? Of course you did. Manhattan, Pennsylvania, cloudy, high of 30.
Machinery Pete has been tracking prices all year long on used equipment. This morning, he travels to one auction to see if anything's changed recently price-wise.
All right, folks, I want to talk about a farm auction recent sale on November 30th in West Branch, Iowa. This was a farm retirement sale for Kent Peterson. Sale is by the good folks at Eastern Iowa Auction Company. Now, the combine and a pair of lead tractors on this auction, I think, were pretty representative of what I've been seeing in the market lately. So let's start with a combine. They sold this 2011 Case IH 5088, had 2,397 engine hours on it, and it sold for $117,000. Now, if that seems like a pretty good premium, that's true, because it is. It's actually the highest auction price in exactly 2 years since December of 22. Now, this combine basically had 3 things going for it. It's the pre-def 2011 model, good condition, lower hours, but also important to note, it's the smaller size. These smaller capacity used combines, generally speaking, holding their value better than the big bombers are, the late model big ones. Now, if we talk tractors, let's start with this 2013 Case IH Magnum 190 on this November 30th auction. It had 1,995 hours, good shape. So for $114,000, that's actually the 3rd highest auction price ever on a Magnum 190. And interesting to note here, the only 2 I've ever seen sold higher at auction, both sold back in 2022, which of course, looking back now, we can kind of confidently say that was the top of the used equipment market. Now, the other tractor on this auction that caught my eye was this 99 model Case IH 8920, mechanical front, 6,200, 2 hours, sold for $55,000. Actually, if you go to our website, machinerypete.com, all the auction prices are free to look at, and you can filter by hour range and such. And if you do a search on an 8920 with over 6,000 hours, you're going to find 55,000. That's the 5th highest auction price ever. But here again, interesting to note, the 3 highest 8920s sold at auction with over 6,000 hours all came between January and March of 2023.
We've seen the rise in robots being used on the farm, even robots that look like dogs. Now, check out these so-called cyborg insects. Australian researchers are working to turn giant cockroaches like this into biohybrid robots that could potentially save lives. And while you think on that, here's how they turn them into cyborgs. The insect is first numbed with an anesthetic. Then a tiny circuit board is attached to its back. The device sends out electrical pulses that lets the researchers control the insect's movements. Researchers believe the biohybrid robots could be sent to disaster sites that are too dangerous for human rescuers. They say the bugs could report the location of survivors, maybe even deliver life-saving aid. Now, this idea isn't without controversy, creating an ethics debate. Some researchers have advocated for better regulation and oversight. Others say the potential to save lives outweighs the risks. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day on Farm Country.